Do people want to move up a little bit closer to the front, back in the back corner there? We want this to be interactive and give you a chance to ask any questions that you might have. And a little easier if you're a little closer, and we're all in the same room. So welcome everybody. My name is Shelley Redman. I'm the CEO of the Huntington Society of Canada, and it is my pleasure to be the session host for impact of advancing advocacy in research. And so I will pass it over to Astri momentarily, but just some quick housekeeping. We have 30 minutes for this session. It's going to be interactive instead of a Q&A at the end. So please put your hand up. If you're shy and you don't want to ask your question out loud, please feel free to put it in the app and I will read the questions out on your behalf.
Thank you, Shelley. And thank you for coming a little bit closer. I really like that better. So I'm Astri Arnesen. I'm from Norway. I'm from a Huntington family. I'm soon 63 years old. And when I grew up, my mother developed Huntington's disease. And we didn't know what it was, so she was just changing and behaving strange and not so good, and we didn't understand what it was. But when I was 18, 19 years old, she was diagnosed with Huntington's disease, and we learned also about that diagnosis and that I was at risk. So I had 5 siblings at the time. We were 5 siblings, and I was dealing with that situation with my mother and the risk the best I could. And one of those ways was to stay informed, be informed. And another really crucial element in my coping with the situation was that I was able to get in touch with the Norwegian Association. This was back in the 80s, and the association was very recently started. But they invited to something like this. It wasn't international, it was Norwegian, it was a weekend, come together and meet people in the same situation. And for me, that was a life-changing experience, really. And it shaped my life. And here I am, 45, is it, years later. And this is my second family. I really mean it from my heart. And it also generated the energy, slowly, step by step, to do things, to make things change. And yesterday, I've been grappling a little bit back and forth when Jenna in HDYO asked me to do this presentation or this session on advocacy in research. Because I'm not really sure how to target this. And yesterday when we had the opening session, I heard several of the people said, I want to learn more about advocacy. So I thought, okay, so somebody will come to this session, and here you are, which is nice. But what is it? What is advocacy? Do any one of you have any? It's not that there's one correct answer. What are your thoughts when you hear this concept, which maybe explains why are you here? I mean, what is it you are thinking about?
I think advocacy is when you talk about Huntington or anything, talking about it, acknowledging it. So I believe that would be advocacy. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about it. Ines, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I'm trying to change things, or be part of a small change with talking about it.
Anyone else want to share a thought? You can.
For me, it's to be a face, because people don't want to show each other, but we have to have someone who can show his face and tell, I am here, and my people need something. So to be a face.
Thank you. So you made my presentation. You have already said it. So to be a face, huh? Can I go back? No, doesn't want to go back. Okay, doesn't matter. Oh my God, what did I do? Maybe that's better. So I was thinking, and that's why I had the starting photo. I wanted to go back to it. It's a phone, because we all are on the phone all the time, huh? So of course that's a very important way we can communicate, to use the phone and be talking about it or sharing things about Huntington's disease via social media. And I think advocacy is about influencing somebody, some way, huh? So many of us, and in different situations, we are followers, which is fine. That's how human race is existing and grouping, and we need to follow each other. But somebody sometimes leads the way and influence and points us to a direction or leads us in a direction. So I think that's really, for me also, what the concept is about. It's being some way willing to try to influence. Because change, I don't know if this is the best description, but anyway, change doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. Change is because somebody influences directions, make decisions. So sometimes when you are overwhelmed with Huntington's disease, you can feel very helpless. But really, there are things we can do, especially when we meet and do things together, or when we are able to reach out and get some support. So that's really an important part of it also for me, is that we cannot sit. My friend Dina said here the other day, I needed to say to myself, get off your butt. Because otherwise, nothing happens. Nothing changes. So if we want change, and we want change, all of us, I think, that's why we're in this room, we need to do something. Nobody can do everything. Sometimes we're overwhelmed. We need to step back. But sometimes we can do something. And we need to stop hiding. I think that was also something you mentioned. Talk about it. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go out on social media, show their face, share about their status, do blah, 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 you know, be very private in what they're sharing. I'm not saying that. Don't do that before you really are convinced that that's the right thing for me to do. But more people need to be more open about what the needs are, what the situation are, how it is. Because I'm really surprised by how many people in the working with Huntington's disease who really don't understand crucial things they should understand better. So you can speak on behalf of others, or you can speak in general terms. You don't need always to just say I. That's important, because I think sometimes people are getting very eager. I remember my brother. He was gay. Sadly, he has passed away with Huntington's disease. But when he finally decided to come out of the closet, which is a concept we use on that term, huh? He wanted to put an ad in the newspaper. Hey, I'm gay. It's fantastic to come out of the closet. Stop hiding. So I get it, but we said to him, do you think that's a good idea? Are you sure? Maybe not. And it's also really important to realize that when you do things, even in groups on social media, you are exposing yourself to maybe, reveal something that you at a later stage in life were thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done it like that. And you can never take it back. So just think about what you share and where and how. But as a community, we need to have, and that's why HDYO and the ambassadors and those of you who are doing things, it's so crucial to have a face and a voice. And then in research now, we are at I think we are, when people ask me, how are you, how are things going, I'm saying, I feel it's so exciting to be able to be here in this community and work now. Because so much is going on. So many things has been done over the last maybe 3 decades especially, and the last decade in particular. So we are at a moment in time where things will change more and more rapidly to the better. I think I can promise you that. And there are more and more requests for us, you, to engage. Because so many people are working in this and they need to learn, and you are really interesting for them to speak to or to hear from. But in order to do things, you can't do everything. So in order to be a good advocate, you need to think about priorities. What are my priorities? What do I think is an important message? And also, it's not about communicating into the research. There are a few companies present here. It's not about just communicating to those who are developing therapies. I will speak a little bit more about that. That's important. But it's also to your fellows, your peers. There are many ways to the parent generation, maybe. We were talking in a group yesterday. Parents need, more understanding of how they should speak to us, because they find it so difficult. So many just step away from it. They don't do it. So there are many, directions that this advocacy could go that would benefit, ultimately, the progress of the field. Because if parents are better to speak to their children and to really have them, feeling that they are involved in something, they will be more empowered to take action instead of struggling more than they need to. So think about that also. What could be my mission, or what could be based on my life or my experience or my wish, my ambition? Where can I make a little difference, and do something? Because when you're born into when you're born into a Huntington family and you go through this path with all the difficulties, with all the challenges, with all the special things that it implies, you possess a very, very unique expertise. It's expertise. And nobody can replace that. So there are experts in many fields, and we are experts in living with Huntington's disease. Some of us do manage it well, others feel that they are doing it very poor, but you possess a really unique expertise. And that's what we also need to value in ourselves as a community. Because what we want through our advocacy is to increase the knowledge, the understanding, and the empathy. And that's why just talking about Huntington's disease and showing some of the things that we deal with to have people understand better and to meet us with more empathy. And empathy is not sympathy, it's not poor you, I feel sorry for you. Empathy is that I as a human being think that I can understand a little bit about that this is not so easy, or this is important to you. And WHO has given out a toolbox for advocacy. And in that I read that raising the awareness is creating the basis for empathy. And that's really the basis for good decisions. That's why it's important, because sometimes I've been thinking, awareness, we don't get anywhere with just awareness. But actually it's important. So the campaigning that HDYO is doing, that the national organizations is doing, that the European Huntington Association is important for that purpose. It's for people to see us and to understand a little bit of what is the life with Huntington's disease about and what are the needs. Because I was just speaking to Barbara, she's here, and she told me now she saw a presentation with 65 logos about different companies who is working with Huntington's disease in some stage or wherever it is. And that number is growing almost every day we talk. So it's enormous increase in how many programs there are, how many different approaches to the disease there are. And we want them all to be successful, honestly. And all of them need to learn from us. Because it's sometimes, traditionally, many of the patient groups here in Europe, I know best, I don't know if it's different in the North American space, but have been thinking, okay, but the researchers and the clinicians, they are the experts, they know, we just sit here and wait. And it's actually not the case. They are experts in what they do, but they are definitely not experts in living with Huntington's disease. And I have been surprised many times by questions we have been asked, and that I hear lessons from people, from families. Oh, really? Is irritability a problem? Is it? Mm-hmm. So you come from a place where you think you have to ask, is it a problem? I mean, you don't need to ask many family members before you know that's not a question I even need to ask. Is oxygen important? Yeah. So there are so many elements in this that we can bring, which is important. And we need to also think about, actually, we are at the point in time in history where we probably within the next very few years will have a therapy that is approved, that has shown that this is safe and it has some effect. And when it's approved, there is a next step, which is how do we get this into the pharmacies so patients can actually get it? So we also need to advocate there. So we have a lot of things to do, and that's why it's good that we are many, because no single person can do this alone. There are many fields. And I said this should be an interactive session, and it's been very quiet, and I've been speaking for 10 minutes. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments to this?
Just a quick question. So if someone wanted to do more advocacy, obviously you've got the social media level of advocacy. What if you wanted to go further? How would you approach that? I know you can go through different associations and such, but if you wanted to start attempting to do stuff on government levels and all the rest of it, what is the best way to present yourself to be beneficial to advocacy in that direction?
Wow, thank you for that question. Yeah, so I think there are two things, really major things that you need to do, the way I think. You need to organize, to find somebody else. So it could very well be the organization close to you. You know, when I come to these meetings, almost every time somebody approaches me and says, hey, I would love to do something. And many times we have been able to reconnect and follow up on that, and now they are doing things on behalf of EHA or wherever they are, you know. So I think to get into an organization or contact an organization, honestly, all of us, I would love it. So everybody who contacts me and say, I'm here, can I do something? I say, yes, sure, let's speak about it. Because to think you can do it alone is difficult. But the other really crucial element is to get informed, learn about it. And maybe that's through the organization as well, or it can be there is a lot of information out there. So really to get informed, how does this happen? How is research being done? How is the regulatory approval processes being done? Where are there opportunities for us to engage? Information is really empowering, knowledge, understanding. But we can do that together, and we do it all the time. So that's really, I feel empowered when I'm with you, and I think that's also mutual for many of us. Sorry.
That's a really good question, and one that we're asking ourselves in Canada within our organization, because it is a key priority for us on our strategic plan. And so we're going back and looking at our advocacy efforts and looking at how we can provide a better toolkit for our community. So we don't really have anything great on our website yet, but it's coming. But you could do what I did and go and look at other organizations outside of HD organizations and see what they're doing for advocacy. So that's kind of some of the background work that we've been doing and writing down different ideas to bring back to our table to help support our HD community.
Yeah, so I put this for some reason. Because it's about taking the first move. It's getting the butt up and contact somebody. I think that's really where you can be, able to find ways to do things. And then it's also, I just wanted to mention this because we together with HDYO, the European Huntington Association, and the International Association, we have created this community advisory board group. And I know that Shelley and the American Association have another group very similar called HDYO. And it's about family members. It's about this lived experience. So if this is something you can look at the website and you can check it out. And then you can be involved as a team member if you have some time that you are able to allocate for that purpose. And then we are contacted by the industry partners. They come to us because they know we have this, and then they say, okay, we have a program, we are working on something in Huntington's disease, or we are ongoing actually on a clinical trial, whatever, where they are. And then they want to discuss things. How can we do this? Is this really something you would like to see? Is this the way we are planning to do it? Is that, is it feasible for you? Is it acceptable for you that we drill in your brain, or that we infuse something here or there or whatever we are doing, the way we are planning to do it? Is that something you can accept, or what do you need of support for us to be successful? And we have done this because we want to be able to provide really efficient and good feedback to all these questions, because they are super important. They are super important. And honestly, now we have been running for some years, and our experience is that your voice, our voice, is really being heard. It's not like we are, writing out these, what is Trump doing, this, presidential orders. It's not that if you say it, it happens, but it's always being taken into consideration. That's my experience from this work. So we can make a difference, and it's important to shape how this is done and how the support hopefully can be provided so people feel it's a good experience to be in the trial, and that if we reach to the goal where the therapy is approved, that this is actually something that we need and we want, and that can be beneficial. So the CAB and the COPE is really instruments also for direct, actually, contact with those who are developing the drug. And I think also if you speak there are many CAB members here at the conference, if you speak to them, and Michaela, you have been in some of these, they really feel that this makes, it's really meaningful. Would you like to say something about that? Yeah, come up, so it's easier for them on the camera to see you.
So I'm a member of both, of HDCOPE and HDCAP, and both are similar, but it's super important to have them and that industry partners reach out to community. I think the first step is to understand and to really have the same language and the same terminology. They came up with words that we don't understand, and they are important to them, and we never heard them from community side, and we don't use them. And if they put it into a brochure, nobody will understand and will go to this trial. And this is really the first step to find this common language and to understand each other. And we had a chance to have a look on brochures and to really get feedback. and then the participants will come to join the trials. This is super important. And with all other questions that we have, look on the trials design. That's also how does it work? How does a day at a study center look like? And is it feasible for families to go there? And what are our ideas to make it better, to make it easier for people to come and to join and to really make the decision, yes, I will go to this trial and I will stay into this trial because it's important, it's the right one for me. And therefore it's a good opportunity that we have these CAP boards and that we use them.
And how has it been for you as a family member to be able to do this?
It was a very good experience for me to share my story and to get listened and to hear other stories as well and to see how the pharmaceutical companies react on that and that they really want to listen and they stick to that and they're really touched by it. And it's super thing to make this experience.
Thank you. Daniel, you're from Unicure. You have done several advisory boards together with MIPA, among others. Why?
I think a lot of what Michaela just said. I mean, so we've done. So I'm Dan. I'm the executive director of patient advocacy at Unicure. We're developing a gene therapy. We're in a clinical trial, but we actually did our first advisory board in 2018, if you can believe that, years before we even began the clinical trial. So I think, at every step in the process, it's so important to be engaging with the community, communicating, getting feedback on things like brochures. How do we talk about what we're doing in a way that is understandable? So I don't have a science background, so it's important for me as well to learn about, okay, how do we talk about this? Because they're very complicated concepts and it's difficult. So we've found it to be incredibly helpful. It has been critical to the success of our program to be working with HDCAB, HDCOPE, and engaging with the patient organizations and the patient community. Boards, sometimes a company will sort of build one themselves. It's a lot of work to do that. HDCAB and HDCOPE were created. It gave us, it's just so easy to go to you and say, we need to do an ad board. You guys can pull it together really quickly. So it was a really brilliant idea and well executed.
And also that we are a group, so we can support each other, because sometimes you feel vulnerable when you have shared your story and been in hope so much that they will be successful. So it can be good to meet and do a debrief and really, ventilate what is happening and how can we support each other in this. So we're at the end of the time. Time's up. I hope you feel a little bit inspired. And if you're interested, approach us. But otherwise, digest, go home, and you can find us, at a later time when you feel it's the right time for you to reach out if that's what you want. We would welcome it for sure. Okay? Thank you.